Recording now. Hey, welcome YouTubers. We are live. Bonnie, you keep sinking in and out of, oh, maybe Bonnie's gone to do something.
Bonnie, come back.
I'm here, but I don't know what happened to my thing.
Your image disappeared, Bonnie?
Did it start when we started recording? Did she disappeared?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bonnie's gone.
What's happening? What's up?
So, welcome, YouTubers. We're just waiting for one of our members to come back. She is
And she's back.
Oh.
Okay, I don't know what happened, but I'm back.
Thank good.
Yes. I tried to mute myself. I could hear you guys, but I couldn't see anybody. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're back in.
I'm already getting chills.
Yes. So
Tuning in.
So while we're on the topic of felines, and I will share an image. So possibly if I share. So yeah, so this is Sekhmet, a divine feline, and this is Hathor.
Oh,
Okay.
oh yeah.
So I hope I'm right in this, and so I think Hathor is like a goddess of fertility and like a symbol of the divine feminine. And I believe I'm right in saying Hathor and Sekhmet are sort of like two alter egos.
Yes.
Of the same consciousness, like the same.
Well, that's kind of what I was hearing yesterday, but I heard it as Bastet and Sekhmet. So is Bastet another part of Hathor?
I don't know about Bastet.
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but what I heard yesterday on this thing I was watching was Bastet was like the nice kitty, and the alter ego was like the lioness kitty, which was Sekhmet.
Yeah.
I don't know. You don't know. I don't know if this is just a YouTube thing I watched. So
yeah. Did you guys watch
Bastet?
Who posted
also, but it
video?
says Bastet is a fertility goddess, but also so is Hathor. Divine feminine, both.
So I think this one's Bastet, yeah.
Yes.
But the general idea is like two complementary aspects of. Is it one is male and one is female, or are they both?
They're all female.
They're all female.
They're all female, but maybe there's like a lioness side, like a or like a
the warrior
killing side, and then there's the soft side, the the soft feminine motherly side. I think there's two sides. And they represent it with the cat and the lion.
Yeah, so perhaps perhaps because Bastet is like a human-looking cat, more like a domesticated cat.
Yes.
Yes.
And is that related to Astar? That deity?
Your phone keeps vibrating, Danny.
Okay.
Vibrate off, or
I'm gonna try to mute myself. Okay.
Thank you.
So, do you know what's interesting? So I found in this cat book, it's only about cats, but anyways, it talks about, it's got this cat statue in it, but the thing that's funny is it says the Egyptian Book of the Dead collection of spells. Okay, so it contained a glazed earthenware statuette of a spotted cat. And it was to ensure a safe passage into the afterlife, is what they said, including more than one papyrus showing a spotted cat killing a snake or serpent. Typically, the cat holds the snake down with one paw while wielding a knife with the other. The other thing that's funny is the Egyptian term for cat is meow. So they spell it different.
That makes sense.
But isn't that so funny? Oh, M-A-U, but it's meow.
No. That makes a lot of sense.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. That reminds me of the Thai word for like if a vendor is coming up with some tchotchkes that you don't want to buy, and they're like, do you want this bracelet or whatever? And you want to say, don't want. It's a tonal language. Yeah. And you say, meow. And I know it just sounds like meow. That's what that means.
I found something in a Dutch book about Bastet and Sekhmet.
Oh, nice.
What you were talking about, what the difference was. Can I read it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I try to translate it. It's about a statue of the feline goddess Bastet, with kittens around her feet to show her fertility. And in one hand she has a musical instrument, and in the other hand she has a statue of the lion goddess Sekhmet, and they say that's her dangerous, her more dangerous side. So what you were saying?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, really, really
that
cool.
Sounds right.
I just thought about this book and I grabbed it and I found it immediately.
Wow.
Yes, so that's the same as what Bonnie says. So
Yeah.
I've got two confirmations, so I'm sure that's right. So,
Cool.
so this is what I thought was the case with Hathor. So maybe I'll just look it up quickly. So Hathor.
I just opened this book. It's Egyptian Practical Magic, and it has like these little prayers to each one. So the one to Hathor, and it's like a magic thing they use, but it says, "Sweet Hathor, Queen of Beauty, Protector of the weak, shield us against the enemies of light, adorn us in the raiment of truth, and nourish and support us when our strength fails. Guide us in the interpretation of the heavenly signs, and assist us in the daily routine of our earthly lives." So that's interesting. There's also one for Bastet, and there's not one for, there's Thoth, Anubis, Ptah. So Bast says, mistress of happiness and bounty, twin of the sun god, slay the evil that afflicts our minds as you slew the serpent Apep. With your graceful stealth, anticipate the moves of all who perpetrate cruelties in false causes and stay in their hands against the children of light. Grant us the joy of song and dance, and implant us with a deep caring for all other life forms. So they're kind of similar. Very goddess-like energy, both of them.
Yes, so I looked up. I just looked up, and this is from a website called goddessinspired.wordpress.com, and Hathor and Sekhmet are two sides of the same goddess. Hathor is her gentle, nurturing, and life-giving aspect, while Sekhmet is her fierce and destructive side. Hathor, the holy heifer, symbolizes the entire heavens, including the sun, the moon, and the stars.
A heifer is a cow, right?
Yes.
And Hathor is a cow. Hathor is the cow god.
Yes.
That's so fitting. I want to throw in another synchronicity. Is I'm back in my hometown. I came home to Minnesota for New Year's, and Minnesota is a very like agricultural state, like milk, cows, dairy, and I've been sort of trying to avoid dairy because of the whole like vegan and the hormones and things. But when I've been here, I've had this sort of like I went and I got a milkshake over by where I went to college, and I had an image of like a cow, like as I was like drinking this milkshake, it was like mother home cow was nourishing me, and it was really beautiful. So maybe it was Hathor.
Totally. Yes. Yeah, I think when you get those inklings and those quick visions, and we're so used to, I was so used to just blowing them off and not, but they are really, that's where we should be paying more and the most attention, is these other energies that are really right here.
The silence in between. Yeah,
exactly.
Yes, so there's another little clip here. Sekhmet in Wikipedia says, in Egyptian mythology, Sekhmet, also spelled Sekhmet with an A,
yeah,
in a myth about the end of Ra's rule on Earth, Ra sends Hathor as Sekhmet to destroy mortals who conspired against him. So Ra, who I channeled in the first session of this school, is the famous Ra, the Egyptian sun god, and Ra, the author of the Law of One material, the Ra material, the Law of One, the famous channeled material by Carla Roykert. And so Ra came to Earth, I think it was just after the collapse of Atlantis, to, in his words, I believe, to spread the message of the Law of One, the idea of oneness, what we discussed in the first session of the Nefertiti Mystery School. So Ra was a very highly evolved love light being, it's a very divine being who came to spread the message of love and light and oneness and the unity of creation to Earth, that he was working for the highest good. So at some point Ra left. He because he was welcomed at first, because the beings that had sort of come out of Atlantis, the survivors, they were well versed with the Law of One. They were all on the same wavelength. But Ra taught them all this knowledge about how they can, create these great pyramids, these great healing chambers, and all things like this. But what happened was it became very elitist. The ones that learnt the knowledge from Ra sort of, because I believe because we were in this descending of consciousness, coming sort of the wheel of light sort of descending into darkness over the past 11,000 years since the height of Atlantis. The knowledge they learnt from Ra, they began to just keep it for themselves. They kept it within, the royal hierarchies and this. So, and this isn't what Ra wanted. This was completely against the oneness.
That makes sense.
So
how very human for that to have happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Ra left. So Ra gave up. He realized that it just, consciousness was descending on the planet and it wasn't working. So he just decided to leave, basically.
Wow.
And go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, okay. I'm just thinking back to my social studies class from 7th grade when we learned about ancient Egypt, and we talked about like the Book of the Dead and embalming and all of these rituals. And my social studies teacher, a man named Bob Zell, he taught me about Chi too. That we learned about that in his class. I think I've mentioned him before, but he said forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but he said, well, what if, did I already tell you guys about this?
I don't think so.
Okay, so he said, like, we're 13-year-olds and we're all like, yeah, like the afterlife, right? And like just worried about like puberty and whatever. But so he's like, so like, let's just like pause for a second, just pause for one moment. What if the Egyptians actually did know something that we didn't know? What if they act like they're saying that they have advanced knowledge? What if they did? And that really hit me and was like, oh, I mean, I guess it's possible. And then I'm remembering now back to those lessons, monotheism, the idea of monotheism, which I'm from Jewish background. That's the whole point, is monotheism. No idolatry, no idol worship, no worshiping anything outside of the one God. And that means no imagery. And this like Egyptian, you know, these many gods is construed as like seen as very like against that. But the one God thing actually in some ways originates from Ra, the sun god, the centering around this one God, this one deity. And it is still like I guess in one way, well, he left because people weren't getting it or something, or were missing the point, but it's still, I guess Judaism would still see that as the sun is still something outside of you. But yeah, thanks, Ra. Thanks for the monotheism.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Isabel, because yeah, it's quite relevant for what I'm going to talk about in a minute and everything we're doing, really, because so what happens is that it's so Ra, yeah, he was he taught the law of one, so which is basically a monotheistic religion, because the law of one, you know, one God, the law of, you know, the law of one, that is only one, Ra taught like a monotheistic religion. And so
he wasn't saying I am the one.
No, he was pointing. Yeah. He was pointing to oneness. Yeah,
right.
And he was in a way symbolic of, you know, oneness, because, you know, the Ra and the sun, it sort of symbolized the idea of a monotheistic religion. But yeah, he wasn't saying that he was the one.
Well, but he also could say, I mean, I think he could say I am the one, but not in an exclusive way.
Yeah, in the same way that you are the one and I am the one.
Right. We are all the one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are all one and equal, and all is one and one is all, and you are one and I am one. And so, yeah, nothing ego at all. I think it's just trying to get the point to everybody that they are the one and that we are all the one.
And so I don't know how exactly, like the sort of polytheistic idea of ancient Egypt when this sort of came around, and because of course, you know, worshipping like many gods, or many, they weren't even gods, they called them Netas, they didn't call them gods, like that, like, you know, all Sekhmet and Ra and Bastet and Horus and Isis and Osiris, they refer to them as Netas, actually, they don't call them gods. So I think Nita means a principle or something, some sort of principle or something.
Can you spell it?
Sorry?
Can you spell Nita?
Yeah, Neter.
Okay.
You maybe look it up while I'm waffling.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a Hebrew background or a Semitic language background for that.
So, yeah, so at some point, I should imagine, so at some point, if Ra was teaching the law of one, you know, after the fall of Atlantis.
Oh, it's Aramaic? Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry, continue. I'm getting excited with my research over here.
You can share with us in a minute.
Yeah.
So after the fall of Atlantis, somewhere after the fall of Atlantis, around 11,000 years ago, Ra came to Earth in a physical incarnation, perhaps as a blue avian, perhaps not, but I think he came as, I should imagine he came as this avian incarnate, which wasn't his true sixth density form. It was a fourth density incarnation, I believe.
Wait, whoa!
Or even a third density, maybe. But so Ra came to Earth after the fall of Atlantis around 11,000 years ago and taught the law of one, which is a monotheistic religion. But then obviously at some point, it seems the polytheistic view took power in ancient Egypt. And of course, like in Hinduism, some people, it's often misunderstood in the West into believing that Hinduism is a polytheistic religion because we have all the Hindu gods like
but they're aspects of the same thing. That's what people are like, actually that's polytheistic, or missing.
Yeah, because they have like Shiva and Parvati, and can anyone else name any more Hindu gods? I can't think of many off the top of my head.
Krishna, is that a person? I don't even know.
Krishna, yeah.
Shiva.
Yeah, Shiva, Parvati. Oh, my favourite one.
Ganesh.
Yeah, Ganesh. You read my mind. Yeah, I love Ganesh. So such an amazing energy.
Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, that's the one I was going to say. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, who doesn't love elephants?
Yeah. Yeah, whenever I'm going through a difficult period in life, and I end up like I've gone through these periods where I suddenly have nowhere to live, and I just end up praying, and then finally somewhere turns up at the last minute, and like Ganesh is always there every time. There's a statue of Ganesh at this place I end up at. It's quite bizarre.
Wow.
Ganesh is always looking after me.
Oh my god.
No.
So it happens several times, virtually everywhere. Like there'd be a Ganesh statue when I turned up there.
Oh my god,
so
that warms
cool.
my heart.
Yeah.
I was just living in Thailand, and you know, what is it famous for? The elephants. And I remember the first time I met an elephant and got to touch it, I was so like starstruck because I was like, oh my god, I could finally get to meet one of these majestic creatures, and it was the greatest day.
They are so majestic. Yeah, I remember filming one, and it was at the zoo, but they were doing a show, and I was just I was just fixated on watching this elephant for like a half an hour. So majestic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't have any natural predators either, because they're so big that, well, except for humans now are their only predators. They're just so big and gentle. And they're another example of social animals too.
Friendly and playful too. Yeah.
Yeah, so the point I was making was that Hinduism isn't a polytheistic religion; it's a monotheistic religion because they worship Brahman, which is the one,
Brahman,
the one goddess, the one god. Sorry, Brahman, and they also have what I believe is called Para-Brahman, which refers to like the absolute unmanifest. I know you follow Bentinho, don't you, and Bonnie? And
yes.
He talks about the absolute unmanifest, and then
the void.
Like the void, and out of that oneness was born like infinite oneness. I think Bentinho calls it the infinite unmanifest, like the unmanifest is infinite in its nothingness, and but the infinite nothingness wanted to experience itself as infinite everythingness. So infinity, as we know it, was born. So we've got the manifest infinite world and the unmanifest infinite world. And in Hinduism they call it Brahman, and I believe Para-Brahman. Brahman is the one God, like infinite manifest world, and Para-Brahman.
Hey, look at that cat.
So
she's called famous.
Cats. Cats are back here.
Yeah.
I wanted to. Oh, everyone has cats. I must take it. So the thing that I keep looping back around to in my head is this idea of homelessness, because that is something I had to deal with to a certain extent in 2018. And to me, like, Jonathan, you saying that you've ever been homeless is like, no. Like, but also I'm thinking about the idea of cats domesticating themselves. So we were talking about the elephants and how they're social animals, and I think we touched on how lions are unique amongst the cats because they are the only like pack cats. The other ones are solitary animals, but lions have a pride, and elephants are like that too. They're social animals, highly, specialized, unique, subtle, cognitive functioning, theory of mind. They can recognize themselves in a mirror. Anyway, so cats became, from drawing from my memory of books I've read, like there are theories that cats became domesticated because they came to humans. And I'm thinking of my mom's cat, which is this mangy animal that just showed up and looked in the window and said, "I'm coming in." She was just won her heart, so she said, "Okay, yes." And yeah, and I'm thinking about my own incarnation too, and how sometimes I think my mom like really resented me for being such a force when I was born, and I think she sort of was like, I was like, "Hey, I'm coming in to incarnate now," and she was like, "Have at it." And then anyway, so there are some ideas to work with.
I do think that cats find people a lot. I had a patient, and we always talk about cats.
Hold up,
told me
Danny, there's some
93.
feedback coming from your.
Is there feedback in mine?
From Dan. Okay, we're good now.
Are we good? Anyway, she's 93, and she tells me, "I don't have a cat now, but I'm sure one will show up."
Sorry, who's 93? Can you start that?
She is
thought
okay.
again?
This is a patient of mine, and I'm always talking about cats with my patients. It seems like, especially, it always comes up. Either there's a picture or, anyways, she says she's always had a cat, but she's never got a cat. They always come find her. She's 93. Yeah. She's like, "I don't have one now, but I'm sure one will be coming soon." I was like, "Some of you've never bought a cat or gone to get a cat?" She's like, "No, but I've always had a cat. They always find me." I said, "That's cool. That's pretty cool."
That's cool. When did this happen?
This is about maybe 3-4 months ago.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't see her anymore. Some of my patients I'll only see for like 6 weeks while they rehabilitate, so I don't get to have them long term, but
right.
She's still around. She was cool. She was all into football and taking scores, and she's 93 and had so much energy in life. She's like, "I remember my mother saying when she was 90 saying, 'I wish I was 70 again.'" So just that type of outlook on like, just,
awesome. The longevity,
my grandpa
the
being
vitality,
96 too. Like the ones that are living older and thriving have a good attitude about it. They're just like loving life and finding things to be excited about.
Yeah. Oh, and then this goes back to the 9 lives thing too. What does that mean?
Oh my gosh, I don't know, but I've had so many cats and they've all had at least 9. One cat, I counted 13 lives.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, it just kept disappearing, and I thought it was gone. Okay, so I had this one cat, Tiger, which was an orange tabby, like the other one, when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and had it all through growing up and high school. It would lick my toes and wake me up for school every morning, and like Tiger was like my. And then I was about 16, 17, and the cat was getting old. We'd come back from a vacation, and she was just looking sick, and I took her to the vet and everything, of course. $400 later, and they're like, "She's just old, she's sick, she can't make it." And I'm like, ugh. So anyways, ever since then, I'm like obsessed with getting orange cats and naming them Tiger. So we got another Tiger, but this is like the 10th one. But it seems like if I get disappear or get sick, I'm trying to think how. I remember once I was little, and my parents would be like, "Oh, that's another one of her lives, and that's another one of her lives, and hasn't she used up all her lives yet?" She got really down and out when we got her declawed, and back then, see, I didn't know. We thought that was the answer to keep her inside.
Right.
But, she got sick then, and anyways, I think they do have 9 lives, but I don't know.
Is it rooted anywhere in Egyptian mythology?
I don't know, but you know what is funny? In this book, it was saying, While other coat patterns, especially the striped tabby, are common in Egyptian art, the spotted cat appears often enough to make it clear that it was a well-known variety. So I think and I saw something about the orange tabby being an Egyptian cat thing yesterday when I was watching these documentaries. So I thought that was weird that I'm obsessed with the orange cat, and here they are in the Egyptian art. So
Yeah.
9 lives.
Yeah, I didn't know orange cats specifically were Egyptian.
I didn't either, and they've got all kinds here. They said the spotted. They're saying origins of the breed.
Wow.
But it was saying something about
black cats, you know?
Oh, blacks, yeah, and the art that I've seen is usually black cat too. So when they said orange tabby on that documentary, and in here, it surprised me. I was like, oh my gosh, they like orange tabbies too. But yeah, I don't know. I got something with cats. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it says, I looked it up, cats have 9 lives. For three they play, 3 they stray, and 3 they stay at home.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Is it? For three he plays, for 3 he strays, and for the last 3 he stays.
Oh, nice.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yes, so to get back to so something that Isabel mentioned about monotheism and that. So what happened was, let me just get the date of this up quickly. Well, I'm just going to look when Akhenaten reigned. Akhenaten reign. Yes, so Akhenaten reigned 1353 BCE. So that's like getting on for 3,500 years ago. So before Akhenaten came in, Egypt was a polytheistic religion. They'd forgotten the law of one, and they were heavily focused on worshipping the individual gods, like Horus and Isis and Osiris and all these, and Bastet and Sekhmet.
Yeah.
And the law of one had been forgotten. But what happened was that Akhenaten, who was married to Nefertiti, and Akhenaten and Nefertiti jointly ruled Egypt for Akhenaten's life. And Akhenaten was channeling Ra. Akhenaten connected, he changed his surname to Akhenaten instead of
the Ra, at the R of the Ra.
Oh, wow.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry, to incorporate like the R from the Ra.
It's Aten means sun, I believe.
Oh.
So yes, essentially, and Akhenaten changed his name because before that it was all Amun. They all took on the name Amun, like Tutankhamun, because Tutankhamun was possibly Akhenaten's son, but he was forced to go back to Amun, which is the worship of the god Amun. But Akhenaten sensed into the idea that oneness was the true state of reality. So he changed his name to Akhenaten, which I believe connected him to the sun god, which gave Ra an opportunity to connect with them, because the sun god is the same frequency as Ra. Like Ra is the sun god. So when Akhenaten began to worship the sun, it gave an opportunity for Ra to connect with Akhenaten, and Akhenaten began to channel Ra. And
wow,
so cool.
and brought in back the law of one and reintroduced. So Akhenaten's known as like the heretical pharaoh, because he kicked out because up until then all the priests and everyone were worshipping like all the gods, or the Netas, or the demigods, or like a polytheistic religion. And Akhenaten said, no, this isn't right. It's got out of control. You're focusing too much more on idolizing these deities, praying to them for wealth or whatever. Whereas the true spiritual teaching is the law of one, the idea that we are one consciousness. And he began to channel Ra and download this information from Ra. And he changed it, and he co-ruled with Nefertiti. He apparently Ra and Akhenaten and Ra shared their rule equally.
Wow, that's awesome.
Which is pretty amazing.
That is amazing. Yeah,
that is amazing.
It's that aristocracy, the hierarchy that was artificially created for, in the spirit of separation, found within itself a way to reconnect with even somebody on that side of the aristocracy was able to get back in touch and reinstate some of that unifying energy.
Yeah, and that's it. So when me and Bonnie got inspired to where's Nefertiti? Oh, she's here. When me and Bonnie got inspired to, can you see Nefertiti?
Hey,
yeah.
When me and Bonnie came up with this idea and we're trying to think of a name of the school, I immediately thought Nefertiti. We'd already talked about Nefertiti, and Bonnie, we weren't sure, and Bonnie sort of went, no. I could tell she was about to say Nefertiti, but didn't quite say it. And
you read my mind, and then I was trying to think like thought, and no, Nefertiti was it. I've got a picture.
Do you guys know each other in person?
No, not in physical. We've known each other for a while. We used to do a lot of video calls together in a different group.
It's the same picture you have, cool. Jonathan, in picture form. Yeah.
Wow.
See? I love Nefertiti. I do. I thought it was the perfect name. And I didn't even know that she had co-wrote these channelings of Ra with him.
No, that's fascinating.
Isn't it?
So who was her husband?
Akhenaten.
Akhenaten. Yeah, that's amazing.
I went to high school with a girl named Nefertiti.
Oh, I would totally name my kid that.
That's really
yes.
badass.
So this is Akhenaten, and can you see these images of Akhenaten? Is the
oh yeah.
And look what a bizarre looking guy he was. I mean,
can you zoom in?
Can we get this one?
Do you think that this is possibly Akhenaten? Mm-hmm. Let me see.
So he's like that's the image that comes to mind when I think like Pharaoh.
Yeah. I think this is him.
Oh, he's so beautiful. How like
is that him?
Wait, oh.
I think that's him too.
Keep it. Don't go anywhere. Wait, show us again.
I wasn't sure who it was.
Yeah.
That's the same guy? And I thought this was a girl for a while.
I think a lot of them look alike, but it could be him.
It could be him. It looks like him.
Why not?
Is this Akhenaten? I don't know. You're showing me pictures and it looks like him.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I was wondering those artistic renderings how accurate they were. Because they can do like some like facial reconstruction with mummies and that kind of thing, but I wonder like their technology, if it was as advanced as it seems to have been, they probably could have done like a pretty good job. But also like you would think maybe in a society that is so like hierarchical, like maybe even like America, that like deifies beauty, if beauty standards filter down and like try and like Photoshop or tell the artist like, no, make my nose longer or something.
Right.
Really
you can never be sure, can you?
Right. You never can be exactly sure, no.
And look at the daughter of Akhenaten.
Wow.
So look at her head.
Look at her head. Wow. So
Wait,
it's
where
almost.
are we looking? Oh.
That's
yikes.
the daughter. Now
That's
that
a
is
Yeah.
interesting now, isn't it?
So if you read the book that I recommended for this course, the
Here?
yeah,
Got on my-
one book?
that Initiation by Elizabeth Hyde.
Yes, I've not got this yet, but I'm gonna read it. I've got so many books here.
I know, there's just always so many books.
I know, and then it's like, it's like I gotta stay focused on one, but so I haven't read it yet. Tell us about it. Does it talk about her?
Yes, so in the Initiation by Elizabeth Hyde in the book, she talks about how, and I think this relates to the Bible. There's the say in the Bible. There's this phrase from the Bible where it says, "And the sons of gods took the daughters of men for their own because they saw they were beautiful." There's something like this in the Bible. Have you heard that, Isabel? You know the.
I haven't read read through and through the Bible, like the Hebrew Bible, but it sounds right because the first phrase of the Bible is Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning, Elohim, which is translated in Jewish tradition as God, the one God, it's in the plural, and this is something that's often discussed by scholars. Why is it in the plural? Like, why do you think it's in the plural? So the gods, plural, built the sky and the earth. So yeah, and I mean, it makes sense, that phrase that you just said, and that makes a lot of sense to me too, like some god men being like, oh, these ladies are pretty, I think I'll keep them.
It does sound familiar, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't read the whole thing, but yeah.
Yeah, so I found this quote. I've just done some. So this is from Genesis 6:1-4. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days.
Nephilim, yeah.
And also afterwards, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were old, the men of renown. The first mention of sons of God in the Hebrew Bible occurs at Genesis 6:1-4. So, in other words, when man began to multiply on the face of land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose.
Wow.
Sounds very
yeah.
human. Yes.
Yes, so this is this is from the Bible, and I think this is connected to the Nephilim. This is possibly what they call the Nephilim. So and this is what
that root NFL means, like wonderful, like wondrous, yeah, like sort of beyond miraculous in some ways.
Yeah, that makes sense, because so in the book Initiation by Elizabeth Hyde, it's a story about a lady who lived, she died a few years ago, but in like the 70s or 60s or something, but she remembered a past life as the Pharaoh's daughter in ancient Egypt. And so she talks about, well, get this image back. So I'm just trying to get a share screen again. Oh, where have you all gone? What's happened? I've lost you all. Are you still there? Oh, you are. Yes.
Somewhere.
Screen. Yeah. So we're about. So you can see Akhenaten's daughter now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Elizabeth Hyde talks about this, remembering her past life as Pharaoh's daughter in ancient Egypt, and she talks about what the sons of God were. And so the sons of God were this like higher race of beings that came to Earth from another planet, I believe. They weren't like us regular humans. They were
right.
They were higher.
have
Go
you
ahead,
guys heard
Isabel.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off, or if you're trying to complete a thought. But I took this course. One of the first courses I took in college was just like a biblical history course, trying to take like early biblical history and connect the dots with like what actually happened. And the Hebrews, Habiru. So something you have to know about Hebrew is that B and V are kind of interchangeable, and F and P are also kind of interchangeable. So, but for this one, B and V, this is the key thing. So, the thing that just came to mind, I don't know if this is the planet that you're talking about, but so the Bashar says something about this. Well, I'll start with my thing. So, the Hebrews, there's a theory that those people come from the Habiru tribe. So the HBR, and then Abraham is said to have crossed, I don't remember the exact thing, but Avar, it's like AVR, means over, to cross also. So Abraham's lineage, so, I'm sorry, this is really hard to do without like a whiteboard right now. I'm trying to condense so much knowledge into one thing right now.
But you can have a whiteboard, can't you? Can't we give you a whiteboard somehow? You can...
Yeah. Oh my god. So, oh my god. All right.
Yes. So you have a share option, yeah?
All right. Where is my share option?
Oh, nice. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Can you click share?
Wait. All right. Zoom.
There is a whiteboard option on share. I have one. Might be tricky on your phone, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe I can do a whiteboard and you can actually, yeah, I should be able to launch the whiteboard.
Oh, yeah. And she could write on it with her marker. Yes.
Yeah, I've launched a whiteboard, Isabel.
There you go, Isabel.
Yay!
Now all you need is a pen.
All right. So I'm writing out. Here we go.
Yeah, we see you.
Okay, so these are the three root letters for the word Hebrew, for the word to pass or to cross, and also for the word
Did you write
for Arabic also.
Did you write it backwards for a reason?
Oh, Hebrew goes right to left.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny that.
It's like
because I went to church for the for a carol service just before Christmas for the first time in ages, and when I opened the hymn book, I was like, this is all backwards, and it wasn't. It was just a normal book, but I felt it felt like it was backwards. So
now you know what it's like to be a Jew. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I was Hebrew in another life.
Oh, it could be. I mean, you resonate with Jesus, right? So, all right. So this is the root word for Hebrew, to pass, and for Hebrew and Arabic, and which are like brother languages. So, how do I erase?
there is a little eraser down there.
I don't see. Uh-oh.
You want to clear it all?
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There it is. Yeah.
I don't know. Am I doing that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm just gonna write this, the thing that first came to mind, because it's so much at once. Hebrew, Habiru, and Huva. So, keeping in mind that V basically equals B here. So, all right, Hebrew. this tribe that we were talking about. So in this class, this really stuck out to me, that there was this theory that the first Hebrews came from a tribe called the Nibiru tribe. And I don't remember anything else about them except for that was what they were called. But then if you look, okay, so
I just found this name Nibiru, the planet of the crossing. Original name in Hebrew.
Oh my God, and that's what I was
Nibiru.
saying. That Avar means cross. That's amazing. Wait, where did you find Nibiru? So, well, what I wanted to say is that the Bashar has said that the first planet that humans will go visit that is not in our star system is a planet called Huva, and that has always struck me as like the H and the V, or the H and the B.
Wow.
And then okay, this is getting, oh shit, what have I done? I don't know how to zoom out of here. Okay, so something to keep in mind that, well, it's hard to explain without being familiar with the Hebrew language as a whole and its structure and like Abjad languages, which basically consist of like frame letters, which could be T and N or H. So the H or the N could be almost interchangeable in some cases. Whoa, and then
Do you think Habiru could be Nibiru, the infamous Nibiru?
Yeah.
Wait, let me think about this for a second. So my like instinctual Hebrew knowledge, so I'm not a native speaker, but I studied it a lot. Nibiru. And then, so Nibiru to me, that almost means like they will, that could be biblical future tense, sorry, or that could be either future tense or past tense. Now we're getting to very technical knowledge that I'm so excited about that I can't like say it in a coherent way because I am like, I have to like think about this. So anyway, this is really good stuff that we're uncovering and just scraping the surface up. There's so much here. How do we get out of this? But this is my knowledge base. That Nibiru means the people that cross. Can you tell me more about that source that you found, or like maybe put that
I think, is it still here?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Habiru sounds like Nibiru, yes. So that sounds like the planet that they all talk about on YouTube, the planet that was supposed to crash on us, Nibiru.
Yes, this is all connected. Nibiru is the famous 10th planet that is apparently like has an orbit that goes out of our solar system and comes back in.
Is that Malbec? Is that the same thing?
Yes, so if we... I'll just share this screen.
Avar. Wow! God! Oh my God.
So can you read that, or is it too small? Do I need to zoom in? Maybe I can zoom
I think I can. Yeah. I'm able to zoom in where I am.
Hold on, I'll...
The planet of crossing. And that's what we were saying about Avar, the root means to cross. Holy shit. For Hebrew and Arabic. And Aramaic also. Marduk. Oh my God.
Wow.
So I think this is where the Anunnaki came from, which is which is Enlil and Enki. And
oh my God.
Enlil and Enki were the these two god beings that they were brothers, but one went down the dark path and one went down the light path, and they started warring. And these were the like super evolved beings that existed. I'm not sure if it was pre-Atlantis or post-Atlantis, but many thousand years ago. They're the ones that came to Earth to mine gold. And they had a load of because they needed gold, they needed monatomic gold for their own existence or something. And so they came to Earth to mine the gold. But after a while, they found that all their workers were complaining that it was too much hard work mining the gold because they were spending half their time draining the rivers or something. And so they decided they were going to genetically modify humans, as we were more like ape-like back then, to be basically a slave race to mine gold for them. And this is why you see the images of the Anunnaki with see if I can find it.
Anu in Hebrew means we, by the way.
Ooh.
Okay. Or us. Oh wow. Isn't this a very like Sumerian?
Yeah, this is Sumerian image. Yeah, so these were the Sumerian gods, I believe. But these weren't the good guys. These were the bad guys. Because can you see he's holding a pine cone in his hand?
He's holding the pine.
What does the pine cone mean?
It's symbolic of it's symbolic of the pineal gland, which
and it's all over in all kinds of statues, especially in a Catholic, and they hide it and put this pine cone all kinds of strange places. You'll start noticing.
Chills. That's so creepy.
Yeah.
Right.
And so what it symbolizes is basically the Anunnaki. They basically genetically modified us, and we are all descendants of this genetically modified race that was made to mine gold for these guys because they wanted the monatomic gold and they couldn't be able to mine it themselves.
That's corroborated by Bashar's account too.
Totally. Yeah. So, and so what they did though to make us, they didn't want us to become too powerful. So they genetically modified it so that we didn't have access to our spiritual self. And this is why we've all been like trapped in bondage for thousands of years. And that's what this image symbolizes. The holding of the pineal gland means they hold control of our pineal glands. We don't have access to our spiritual center. They have the access to the spiritual dimension.
That makes total sense. And wow, that just makes total sense. But also we agreed to this on some level.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this was the game. Yeah, it's exciting from a higher perspective. Yeah.
Yes.
And these were the guides from Nibiru, which was what we were just reading. And didn't you say like Nibiru had something to do with crossing or something?
That root can mean for the Hebrews the root means cross, to have crossed, to have passed also.
Yes, so it's similar. Nibiru, the planet of crossing. Oh, original name in Hebrew, Habiru. Yeah.
I can't believe I got that from an academic, I love that right now this is like so much stuff that I've been passionate about and curious about for a really long time is finally finding an outlet and finding an esoteric outlet and explanation and not just presented in a classroom and being like, well, some people think this, but some people think that. It's just like all coming together in a really fun way.
Totally.
Wow, you guys.
Yeah, and I think the reason it's called the planet of the crossing is because it crosses. It crosses through our solar system, and then it goes out, and it goes out for thousands of years, and then it comes back into our solar system. And this is the planet that it was all over YouTube a few years ago. Like Planet X is returning, Nibiru's coming back. It's the end of the world, and the Anunnaki are going to come back and exterminate us. And
do you think that happened in some reality, or did like most of us to whom it's relevant pretty much like it was like all set in stone before 2012 that we were going to be fine?
Probably, yeah. I'm sure there's some people that managed to believe in it that strongly that they manifested a crazy reality for themselves.
Yeah, there's every possibility and parallel reality timelines, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I think it. Yeah.
Are they gonna circle back around? Like, wow. Anyway, wow. That's
yes. So anyway, these were some gods from the past, but I don't know if they're the same as we can find as these sons of gods. So what I was quickly getting to is the sons of gods that they talk about in the Bible, which I think are the Nephilim. I think they're different to the Anunnaki, but I'm not sure.
Is that different from the cherubim, the cherubim?
I'm not sure about that. But basically,
you can find that book, that biblical history book.
Yeah, but just quickly, well, this what they talk about in the Bible is the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were fair and took them for their wives and had babies with them, and so the sons of gods were these guys with the elongated heads. And there's been these have been found. There's been skulls like this found in South America, and there's actually a practice in South America where people actually began to try and replicate this because they wanted to be like these god beings.
I wrote a paper on that in college. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought we talked about this before. Yeah, where they wrap a bandage around their heads they wrap like a bandage around the head really tightly to deform.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is it doesn't, like, as far as research shows, it doesn't have any negative effects. Like, your brain still rewires itself just fine even if you do that. Bizarre. But yeah, that's fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah, and so this is an example of and if you look at Nefertiti as well, you see presumably Nefertiti had the same shaped head.
Right,
you don't see
absolutely.
it because she's got the hat on, and it wasn't just a hat. I mean, this is Nefertiti's daughter, so fairly obviously Nefertiti was one of these. She at least had a lot of genetic material. If she was not one of these sons of gods, this higher race that came from somewhere else.
How does this tie into babies having, their third eye, their pineal area, the squishy spot of babies on their foreheads?
There, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Crown
That's
chakra is.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know about that. I don't know what you mean.
I don't know. This just came to mind. How you have to be careful. I was thinking about trying to shape babies' heads as you were saying that, and like, how you have to be careful. Like, some of us, I know I have a flat spot on the back of my head from my parents not like moving me around as much as they should have when I was a baby in the crib. And it just made me think of this, the pine cone, and when we come in as babies, we're not yet socialized to we haven't adopted the belief systems of the collective yet. And so we're more delicate. And how does this play into them having like literal different heads and cats, since that's the topic for today.
But just quickly to get back to where I was originally going with this. So the point is that Akhenaten and Nefertiti co-ruled in like 1353 BC, and they brought back in the law of one. Like, up until then, like, all of Egypt was worshipping like all the other gods. They become very polytheistic, very, I guess, like praying to these gods and saying, please bring me wealth, I will worship you, and manifesting. They were highly magical, so I'm sure they were doing a lot of manifesting, and it was all getting crazy. So Akhenaten and Nefertiti came back in, and when we started this school, I wanted to check, that Nefertiti was of the lights, because they're known as being like heretical, the heretical rulers.
Jesus, being heretical too. Yeah.
Sorry?
Well, wasn't Jesus killed for being a heretic?
Exactly. Yeah. But it turns out that they were the good guys. That they'd seen that like Egypt had gone way too far into this polytheistic worship, and they were trying to reinstate the law of one. By channeling Ra, which Akhenaten was the husband and the pharaoh of Nefertiti, and Nefertiti and Akhenaten co-ruled together to reintroduce the law of one. And yes, so I was just saying that prior to that, it had gone too polytheistic, but presumably originally at some point, the worship was much like in Hinduism today. It was, a monotheistic religion where they worshipped the law, they followed the law of one in the highest, but they also, had these meters or demigods, which they used to activate specific principles and stuff within that. So I think the point I was sort of making is that it's, we can have a as long as we are monotheistic, and understand that we are all one, and this is the ultimate goal. And like in Hinduism, or in Advaita Vedanta, and like Muji's teach, these type of teachers, they all say, like Muji teaches, you shouldn't focus on like anything less than, because it's not the ultimate. And I'd certainly agree, ultimately we want to focus on the highest, because that's, how we find the divine wisdom within us.
Right.
But there's also...
Yes. Sorry.
But there's also a place, I believe, for polytheistic worship, and for invoking the energies of, Sekhmet and Bastet, and, to carry out certain roles within our reality, if it's of the love and the light.
Well, Abraham Hicks talks about the general versus the specific, and I feel like the point of polytheism would be, the point of anything that is a distortion, as we discussed in the first episode, is for the fun of the experience of that, which is
absolutely.
That's the point.
And you can feel into this God or Jesus or this angel or Bastet and channel them or get a feel for their energy, but knowing we are all one and one is all, but still experiencing for fun, like you say, just kind of like, wow, that's neat, and then like over here, and I want to try that, just for the fun of it. Exactly.
Putting on different costumes. Yeah,
like just feeling into that energy and that character, and I don't know, getting kind of little downloads. Just, I guess it's more knowledge, but it's also more oneness, because the more you know, then the more oneness you can become. The more you are, the more you realize you are one. I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing that is for me, the most important prayer in Judaism, and for a lot of people, the most important Hebrew prayer, the one you say before bed with your children every night, and it's said to have a very protective invocation, is Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, which means, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is one." Or why am I forgetting the translation right now? Adonai Eloheinu, I am the Lord your God, the God is one, the all is one, and the one is all. That's the most important prayer, essentially.
Wow.
And whenever I get a little night paranoia with my when I'm going to bed sometimes, and I just say that to myself as a protective permission slip sometimes, if just everything's fine, the light is here, the all is one and the one is all, nothing can destroy you.
Wow.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Yeah, and so the reason why I went through all this, because nearly an hour to get through, it turned into a fascinating conversation, so I'm glad we did. But I thought perhaps we could begin to do some polytheistic worship, and perhaps begin to invoke some of these Netas, some of these demigods, which are really Netas, as they call them in Egypt. I'll just look up what Neta means.
Oh yeah, I had Googled that earlier.
I was having that same thought this morning, Jonathan. We should start kind of bringing in, getting in touch with Bastet or Sekhmet, and bringing them in. Yeah.
Well, and the entity that I became aware of gave me two names. She gave me Keturah, which actually before I became fully awakened in my own like intuitive senses, I consulted an intuitive healer who told me she was picking up on a past life I had as Hagar's maidservant. And then I sort of thought that, and I was like, that's no fun. I don't want to be the maidservant. I want to be like the wife. and then the name, I downloaded the name, and I was able to Google her, and like there's some interpretations that she is just another name for Hagar, and I was like, nuh-uh, she's a separate person. That's her Aramaic name. And then the other person that was coming through was not a person. It's a word, Betula, which means, it's Hebrew for maiden, and it is it's the Hebrew word that got mistranslated in the King James Bible as virgin, which, thanks a lot, guys, could have avoided a lot of grief if you had just like, it means young woman. And so what I was receiving is like, oh my God, I can channel like a specific personality, a personage. That's the fun. So yeah, let's have at it.
Love it. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Bonnie,
the first meditation when Jonathan channeled Ra, we did the personal meditation, and I thought I saw Ra, but it was the phoenix that I saw because I searched on Google, and it's like a golden bird. But for me, it gives me the same effect. So that's true. They are all one. And my channeler, when I told them that, he thought it was a blue avian, but he thought it was Ra. So anyway, it's the same thing. We're all one, and we attract.
Right.
Yes. So. Yeah, so this is from the website palatkaya.net. The common words given by the Egyptians to God and spirits of every kind and beings of all sorts and kinds and forms, which were supposed to possess any superhuman or supernatural power, was Neter. And the hieroglyph, which is used both as a determinative of this word and also as the ideograph, is, thus we have, I can't pronounce hieroglyphs. Maybe we should try and learn hieroglyphs.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
It does sound, but my dad actually has books, 2 books. He's very protective of, because he told me he spent a lot of money on them, but they help you learn Egyptian hieroglyphs. Maybe I should make him
know Egyptian hieroglyphs?
I don't know it. He's got 2 books on it though that like teach it. I don't think he knows it yet, but he studies it.
Well, and these materials are available
online
in a lot
now,
of places
probably.
too. Yeah. It'd be fun to use, something that has sentimental value to you too, if you wanted. I'm so sorry. I have to leave because I have to go. Told my friend I would meet up with her in a little bit, but it was so fun. I'll watch the rest later.
Okay, Isabel, you asked if you could channel. I was just about to ask you if you wanted to channel for us.
Okay, let me see what happens. All right, because I can't. I ate like crap yesterday, so I don't know. I don't know if I can, but I've been getting downloads, chills all throughout this. So but I wanted to share this story. Her story. Oh, she is coming in. I've never done this. Okay, so she wants to share her story of who she really was. She is not just a maidservant. This is Keturah. We like that she has the name Ra in it, as this is in part dedicated to the study of Ra's Law of One. I wanted to say really quick before she takes over. Well, this is fun. Okay, so before she takes the wheel, that I understand her to have been a consort of Abraham as well, because this is something that with my ego was hard for me to deal with, was feeling like I'm not a real Jew because my mom is not Jewish. And this was sort of like no, child of Abraham. Like you like Abe had fathered children with this woman, like, and this is your lineage, your lineage, and it doesn't matter because we are one, but it's fun to know this. So anyway, if you guys, Jonathan, like, what do you recommend for going into a channeling state, or anyone who does this? Because this is brand new for me. When it happens all at once, and it feels like water, and she starts talking in we, and I can't guarantee that anything that comes out is
just lots of deep breathing. That's what I do. I close my eyes. I putting your hands together like this can help the energy flow, or like this, or like this.
Like
Bashar does it, you know, or Dowell does it.
I'm gonna go sit by this window where the window's open.
And lots of deep breathing. Get lots of it. If you do lots of deep breathing, it increases your oxygenation, which is necessary, but also your chi flow. And the more chi you can get, the more you can raise your frequency and get more chi in your system.
All right. 1 minute. All right, I'm just going to be down here.
And perhaps sort of you could try breathing the energy deeply into all your chakras, like breathe it into your root chakra, then sort of visualize it breathing into all your chakras.
I'm going to make sure the door upstairs is closed because I don't know this place. All right, I kind of have to pee, so I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm gonna use the toilet as well quickly. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, good idea.
Since I don't know how to pause the recording, so I'm going to try to show my cats the topic of the famous. All I done today. So they're going to come back. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to come back.
Yes, they'll be back.
Is it you, Bunny?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, I bought an amethyst.
Yay! Look what I found in my drawer the other day was this old pendulum I had, and it's green. Right. I don't know if it's emerald or jade.
I have a pyrenet green like that. Maybe it's pyrenet also.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I have an amethyst. I have lapis lazuli.
Lapis lazuli, yes, very good for Egyptian stuff.
But for also to get calm, but also to meditate. Amethyst is very good. Lapis lazuli also. And the green one is to get one with the universe. You see, they have a lot of that they can do, but yeah.
With the green one and the amethyst help you get what does the amethyst help? You get centered?
I have the paper, but I remember it's to get calm, it can heal also, but it helps a lot to when you meditate or when you want to channel or you want to do. I mean, I don't really channel, but like I said, I do sometimes mediums, something like that. It helps a lot.
Well, I've wanted the channel for a long time, and I get words coming through me sometimes, but I'm not gonna tell. I haven't.
Okay.
I've never done it publicly, but I've been wanting to. I even took a class with Jonathan. So maybe
if you want to, if you can, like my opinion is that if the desire is there,
I was like, yes, she's here, and then she was kind of like, I felt like she was telling me to calm. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. Isabel, you go first. I don't know.
What?
I don't know if I'm gonna even go, but I want.
That's fine. I don't even know if I'm
holding space here, ready for whatever.
I think I'll just. I don't know. Here's the thing: is I'm not ready to do it if it's being recorded. That's the anxiety. Because like my conditioning was very like self-conscious.
Oh, I have the same. I understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I would love to bring her through.
I'm sure she will.
She's buzzing. Like I was like singing to myself in the bathroom, but I'm freezing up. If you guys ever want to have a video chat separately, then I'd be happy to try it out when I don't feel like this is going on YouTube where my
like it's recorded on
high school crush will see this. Yeah.
I don't know if I will have time because I am in a new group for healers, medium, etc. And we're starting our page. It's a French page. So, but you're gonna succeed right now, Isabel. So you sleep.
Okay, well I do have to go because my friend is waiting for me.
But where's the bathroom? Is it still in the bathroom?
Huh?
I think so.
I don't
but
see tell me that you can after that cut the video, I hope, in small parts. No? Because
I bet.
Oh, you guys really want me to, don't you? She was talking to my
dad. We do.
Okay. Let me see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I could cry right now. It's just.
I'm gonna mute myself.
I'm gonna have to go off camera a little bit. But you guys can hear me, right? I feel more comfortable if you can hear me, but can't really see me. Okay.
But can't see you. That's better. Yeah. If that feels better. Yeah.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I definitely hear very like lyrical, whoa, Aquarian. Be still, be still, be still. You are well, you are well, you are well. Ease, 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 easy, easy, Izzy. You're in good hands. Oh. All right, I think I'm gonna have to try this another time because I do really have to go right now. But that she's coming through and ready to,
we'll get things. There. We'll get there.
Yeah, but oh my god, I'm like crying right now. So yeah, but thank you. Like I can feel your asking is really helping me too. And she was just, it was very lyrical. Like I think Jonathan, you channeled her one time for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it might be a Yahiel counterpart. I know I have a lot of agreements with the hybrid family, so it might be, I don't know if it's another entity or what, but thank you guys. This is a good starting place, and it helped eliminate the beliefs that I need to clean up, the anxiety beliefs I need to clean up if I want her to come through with perfect clarity. So yay. All right.
Yay.
Okay, just quickly before you go, Isabel, who are we going to invoke then? Which Egyptian Nita are we going to invoke?
Oh, for me, she wasn't Egyptian. She's just this one of this like concubine of Abraham was who I wanted to invoke because that's who I know how to invoke. But you can invoke whoever you want to.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Yes, we can. I don't know. Anybody feel drawn to? Are we talking about for next week?
How? Well, I was thinking just now, quickly, just
try to do it now.
So we can all sort of focus.
What about ISIS? Does anybody know anything about ISIS? I just have this book, and I just looked down and thought, does anybody?
Yeah, ISIS.
The one that holds the wings out. Yeah.
Yeah, ISIS is just a very type in ISIS.
ISIS Egypt. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh?
Maybe we could channel the Phoenix.
I went to high school with a girl named Isis too. That's funny. Okay. Well, I'm leaving the chat. Is there anything that I need?
Isis is the feminine archetype for creation. She's the goddess of fertility and motherhood. She has gone by many names and played many roles in history and mythology as goddess and female creator. Her name literally means queen of the throne. Her original headdress.
That's what Keturah means. Keturah, the name that I invoked, means like queen, crown. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's basically like the divine feminine, Isis. So yeah, I think Isis is a fairly safe place to start because goddess and female creator. I think
that's the Hebrew for it too.
And the feminine arc is rising right now. It's we're finally kind of coming up, so it makes sense of a good place to start. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the divine feminine, like it says, female creator. I think the divine feminine is the creative principle of creation. Like the divine masculine is the pure awareness, the pure consciousness.
Yes.
But like the divine feminine is like that heart-centered impulse to create in a procreative way. You know what I mean? Like the divine feminine creative principle always creates out of love, and is always always nurtures and grows, and so it's like nurturing and growth. And it's basically like Bashar's follow your excitement. You know, follow your excitement is putting you in touch with your heart, which is the true creative principle of creation. So I think if we invoke Isis, I think it's a good place to start because it's super safe. It's all love and compassion. And
well, she's already here from your talking about her.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if we all focus on Isis, maybe we get a little image of Isis on our desktop background or our phone or something. So we all focus our energy on Isis this week and focus and see what happens.
Yes.
Yes, please do, Jonathan. I'm ready with my amethyst.
Yeah, and we might as well call the call a day. Call the call a day.
A day. Yes.
So it's a good place to finish, do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I feel good with it. Right
Or to finish
here.
the recording anyway. If you turn off the recording, I might be able to bring something through. Even though I really have to go.
Okay, right. So we'll finish recording now. So thank you, YouTubers, and perhaps you guys watching on YouTube, you can experiment with invoking Isis and inviting Isis into
the divine feminine Isis, not the other one.
Into our lives this week and our calls this week, and invoke Isis everywhere. We'll probably see winged womanly things around.
All that is Isis is.
And it might help us create something positive for Earth,
for the planet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, oh, she is like coming through. I don't know. Someone's here. All right, I gotta go, or else I'm gonna channel all through lunch. I love you guys. Bye.
Okay, see you.
Love you, Isabel.
Bye.
Bye.
Can we do the meditation and chanting now? Maybe.
Okay, so I'll finish the recording quickly. So thank you, YouTubers, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.